Okay, so I got this book. It's called The Book of Thanksgiving. It has stories, poems, recipes for sharing one of America's greatest holidays. The two authors, Jacky Faust and Jacky sach. I hope I'm saying that right. And this book is from 2002, copyrighted. I decided we're going to share chapter 5 and chapter 6. You can take some of these and maybe make like a Turkey Day trivia. And let's start with this first one. It says, "Now that's what I want is facts. Facts alone are wanted in life," by Charles Dickens. From the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Day Parade to Thomas Jefferson's love of turkey. Pardon me, I've been dancing. The facts and trivia surrounding Thanksgiving are fun and far-fetching. Use this chapter as a competitive trivia game among family members or just as a way to stimulate conversation during dinner. By the way, do you know what the longest balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade day is? Woo, I'm trying to come down from dancing. That was fun. Hold on. Let's turn the page here. Okay, Thanksgiving Day Feast. Benjamin Franklin was very disappointed when the bald eagle was chosen as the national symbol of our country. In fact, he said, "I wish the bald eagle had not been chosen as the representative of our country. He is a bird of bad moral character. Like those among men who live in sharpening and robbing, he is morally more respectable bird, and withal a true original native of North America. If Franklin had gotten his way, we might be eating the bald eagle instead of turkey at Thanksgiving." The Native American, whom the Pilgrims called Indians, word was for corn was maize. Along with deer and vegetables, the Indians brought popcorn to the first Thanksgiving. When the Pilgrims first came to this country, they learned from the Indians that the cranberry, or ibimi in Wampanoags, was good for a lot more than just sauce. The cranberry is a small sour berry, and it grows in bogs. The Indians used the fruit to treat infections and dye cloth. The top 5 most popular ways to serve leftover Thanksgiving turkey are: number 1, of course, is the sandwich. Number 2, a soup or stew. Number 3, a casserole. Number 4, a stir fry. Number 5, a salad. And I should have got myself a bottle of water. Good gravy. Whew. Before being harvested and sold, an individual cranberry must bounce at least 4 inches high to make sure that they are not too ripe. Male turkeys are called toms. Female turkeys are called hens. And baby turkeys are called poults. Tom's male turkey reach market weight about 24 pounds, approximately 19 to 20 weeks after they hatch. The heaviest turkey ever recorded was the 75-pound turkey raised by a turkey farming company in 1967. The first meal eaten on the moon by astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin was roasted turkey and all the trimmings. The tradition of breaking the wishbone was believed to have started in 322 BC with hens, not turkeys. At the time, it was believed the hens could tell the future. In 1999, U.S. farmers produced 273 million turkeys, which weighed a total of 6.9 billion pounds. North Carolina and Minnesota are the nation's 2 leading turkey-producing states. Wisconsin, Massachusetts, and New Jersey lead the nation in cranberry production. In 1999, the U.S. farmers produced 639 million pounds of cranberries. In 1999, U.S. farmers also produced 599,000 tons of sweet potatoes. Actually, I like sweet potatoes without the brown sugar and without the butter. Just a side note. North Carolina, Louisiana, and California are leading states in sweet potato production. When the Air Force was first conducting test runs or on breaking the sound barrier, fields of turkey would drop dead from apparent heart attacks. Turkeys can drown if they look up when it's raining. A frightened turkey can run at speeds up to 20 miles per hour. If really threatened, they can leap into flight, approaching speeds between 50 and 55 miles per hour in a matter of seconds. Because the Pilgrims didn't have domesticated cattle, they didn't have any milk or butter to make pumpkin pie. So while most Americans think it's crucial ending their meal, it wasn't a part of the original Thanksgiving Day feast. Instead, they ate boiled pumpkin. The U.S. turkey industry produces a total income of about $1 billion a year. Each person in the United States consumes an average of 18 pounds of turkey each year. And how about a little Thanksgiving Day history? Women and some indentured servants were prohibited from signing the Mayflower Compact. In 1827, Sarah Josepha Hale, editor of Gooday's Lady Book, a magazine for women, started writing articles about Thanksgiving. She told stories about the Pilgrims and their harvest celebration and wrote editorial suggestions about a national holiday. For 36 years, Ms. Hale fought for Thanksgiving Day, but without success. It wasn't until 1863, when she sent a personal letter to the Secretary of State, William Seward, that she finally received attention. Secretary of State Seward liked the idea so much that he showed it to the President Lincoln. And this spurred Lincoln to proclaim the last Thursday in November as Thanksgiving Day, making it a national holiday. Shortly after, President George Washington's Thanksgiving Proclamation was written in 1778. It was lost for over 100 years. Apparently, the document was misplaced or attached to some private paper in the process of moving official records from one city to another when the capital was changed. The original manuscript did not appear in the official presidential archives until 1921, when Dr. J.C. Fitzpatrick, the Assistant Chief of Manuscripts Division of the Library of Congress, quote-unquote, found the proclamation. It was an auction sale being held at an art gallery in New York. It was written in longhand by William Jackson, Secretary to President Washington, and was signed by George Washington. Dr. Fitzpatrick purchased the document for $300 for the Library of Congress, where it now resides. The Mayflower was estimated to have measured 113 feet long from the back rail to the end of the bow. Contrary to popular perception, Pilgrims did not have buckles on their clothing, shoes, or hats. Because the Pilgrims said they were heading for, quote, Northern Virginia, end quote, it is often assumed that they were off course by about 500 miles. This, in fact, is not true. The Pilgrims were headed to an area owned by Virginia Company, which had rights to almost the entire eastern seaboard of America. Quote-unquote, Northern Virginia actually refers to the region that would be roughly southern New York State. Based on the current knowledge, it is clear that the Pilgrims originally intended to settle the Hudson River, which is in the region of New York. It was hard work, Pilgrim's child, in 1600s. New England, chores often included fetching water from the brook, gathering firewood, herding animals, gathering berries and other wild plants, and helping their parents cook, clean, preserve food, plant, harvest crops, and care for the younger children. Pilgrim children were expected to bow or curtsy to all adults, including their parents. Both Pilgrim boys and girls wore gowns or dresses until they were about 7 years old. Since bathing was considered unhealthy, most Pilgrims probably took baths only a few times a year. Thanksgiving today. Franklin D. Roosevelt tried to move Thanksgiving ahead by 1 week to the third week in November to create a longer Christmas shopping season and to reduce government expenses. Unfortunately, there was such a public uproar that it restored to the fourth week the following year. It is estimated that more than 32 million people travel between the Wednesday and Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend. The busiest travel day of the year is the Friday after Thanksgiving, when you can expect almost 14 million people are on the move. There are 3 towns in the U.S. named after the star of Thanksgiving feast: Turkey, Texas, population 442, Turkey Creek, Louisiana, population 305, and Turkey, North Carolina, population 286. The first Thanksgiving Day pro football game was played in the 1934 between the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. As a way to boost the popularity of the newly formed Detroit Lions, although the Lions lost 19-16, the game was a success with all 26,000 seats selling out 2 weeks before the event. In 1962, the film The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, John Wayne was always called Jimmy Stewart's character, quote-unquote, Pilgrim. From then on, the phrase has long been associated with the Duke, quote-unquote, as John Wayne was called. In the popular Thanksgiving TV special, A Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving, Chef Snoopy strays from the traditional to serve the gang popcorn and toast. 25 passengers on the Mayflower have descendants who are all still living today. The following presidents are said to be descendants of the Mayflower passengers: John Adams, John Quincy Adams, Zachary Taylor, Ulysses S. Grant, James A. Garfield, Franklin D. Roosevelt, George H.W. Bush, and George W. Bush. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Over 60 million people each year watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade on their TV. At 78 feet, Spider-Man is the longest balloon ever featured at the Macy's Day Parade. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade occurred in 1924 and was canceled only once between the years 1942 and 44, so that the rubber from the balloons could be donated to the war effort. I would say it's probably been canceled during the COVID era too, wasn't it? I don't remember. Anyway, going on. In 1957, Popeye's cap collected so much water that he would periodically careen off balance, dumping gallons of water on the spectators. A helium shortage in 1958 meant that the balloon operators, Macy's officials, needed to get inventive, and since the parade must go on, the balloons were filled with air directed down the parade route while dangling from cranes. Felix the Cat was the first balloon character to appear in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. He took flight for the first time in 1927. Before that, the parade consisted of floats, zoo animals, and Macy employees, and any balloons that were released would float for days. Garfield has the record for the most appearances in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. This well-fed balloon appeared in his 16th parade in 1999. Now we're going to stop here, and we will meet up for Chapter 6 in just a few minutes.